Hello everyone, it's Clayton. I just finished watching Secret Invasion Episode 5. So in this penultimate episode, we see that Gravik has basically gone all the way, showing that he's capable of killing off his own Skrulls as well as human civilians just to get what he wants. And what does he want? He wants the Harvest, which is a collection of DNA and blood from every single Avenger who fought in the battle on Earth against Thanos. With that harvest, Gravik could basically make his Super Skrulls invincible, given that he already has the powers of Groot and other heroes like that. This is very clearly going to be a big problem. So, Nick Fury has to go off to his fake grave and find a vial full of the DNA that to give to Gravik to make sure he doesn't start World War III. Because otherwise, Skrull Rhodey is going to attack a compound that's filled with Skrulls and civilians. So yeah, Gravik definitely was on the edge when it came to his actual loyalty to his own soldiers, but here it's clear he's basically only out for himself at this point. And Gaia, to be fair, does get a few cool scenes in this episode. She does get to meet Priscilla and see how she fell in love with Fury, and they even get to fight off some soldiers at the end. I thought it was kind of silly for Priscilla to just stay at the house as opposed to run away, but to be fair, she did at least keep the house stockpiled with weapons, and she did explain that she didn't want to. She wanted Fury to actually live in a place that had plenty of security and plenty of privacy, even if said privacy is gone now, considering that a lot of people are now after them. But we'll see if she actually happens to survive at the end of this. Even though I did think that the action scenes were pretty lackluster prior to this point, the action in this episode actually isn't that bad, especially considering that it's mostly against human soldiers, it's mostly just two people trying to survive an invasion into a home, and even though it's something we've seen in tons of other spy movies at this point, it's it's definitely okay with how it's handled. I'm more impressed with Gravik's scene against the soldiers who know they're about to die and know they're expendable. So they try to fight back, but Gravik just kills all of them one by one and says if anyone tries to kill him, he'll do the exact same thing to them. It definitely does establish Gravik as a complete monster at this point, but at the same time, I do believe that he's probably got no choice in his own mind at this point. I'm not saying he's a great villain, but I am saying that it's a good way to establish his ruthlessness right before we get to the finale. But yeah, now that we're getting to the final episode, I can't help but feel a little disappointed with how this all is shaken up. While the first half of the series was overwhelmed with too much MCU style humor, most most of the series afterward has just been pretty typical spy and political thriller cliches thrown into one. And even with several major character deaths, like such as with Talos and Maria Hill, it hasn't done much to really interest me. Because it ultimately doesn't feel like it makes those deaths mean anything when it comes down to it. Or at the very least, it doesn't make us feel the emotions behind these characters' deaths. Especially since Maria Hill and Talos weren't exactly very well known in the MCU prior to the point of their deaths. And after they died, it feels like the story didn't really change as much as it should have. But we'll see if there's a major change to the status quo with the finale. Otherwise, this does feel like it's another disappointment in a phase that's been full of them. See you next time.